Over the past 21 years, Sofia Coppola has become one of the most thematically iconoclastic directors around. A filmmaker distinctively known for her explorations of girlhood, the inner turmoil of the privileged, and a controversial approach to female melancholia, she's much discussed and highly celebrated. But, like all great cinema, there's something magical that underpins her best work. Or should I say, someone. If Sofia Coppola is an auteur, Kirsten Dunst is her muse. They're two women who were thrust into Hollywood from a young age and forced to weather its unforgiving climate. Sofia Coppola as the daughter of an all-time great director, and Kirsten Dunst as a child star propelled to stardom through her own charm, yet uncomfortable with the vulture-like film industry. They are two creatives that turn to each other's strengths in order to thrive. Coppola, behind the camera with delicate colours, hazy dreamscapes and escapist fantasies, and Dunst with her acting skills that seem to provide a transparent window right into her mind. Coppola writes personality, while Dunst embeds her characters with a tangible relationship to real life. However, in a world where Coppola has her Academy Award, Cannes prizes and regular critical appraisal, Dunst is left somewhere by the wayside, feeling undervalued yet aware of her skill. In this video, we'll be exploring the 3 feature films that the artists have worked on together, breaking down the collaborative relationship between Dunst and Coppola, and exploring how an actress once as prolific as Dunst has never achieved the same acclaim as her contemporaries.
Also, I've never been recognized in my industry. No one I always feel like nobody, I don't know, maybe they think I'm just the girl from Bring It On.
As the daughter of director Francis Ford Coppola, Sofia was born into somewhat of a Hollywood dynasty, appearing in his movies and spending a childhood following him around shoots and awards ceremonies. From her father, she learnt the tricks of the craft, going on to direct music videos and short films. Towards the end of the 1990s, Thurston Moore of Sonic Youth gave her a copy of The Virgin Suicides, and her enamoration towards the book encouraged her to experiment with writing her first screenplay. She quickly knew who she wanted to star in it. In 1998, Kirsten Dunst was 16 and had already worked with directors such as Woody Allen and Brian De Palma, proved her talents amongst award-winning actors, and had taken the lead in one of the all-time great family films. During this period, she was averaging 4 films a year, her work ethic was outstanding, and she had no troubles getting booked. But this was the tail end of the child star era, a time where there were many fantastic young talents, but few able to follow it up into adulthood. At this period, Kirsten was featuring in some of the most interesting high school films of the time, notably the hilarious and overlooked black comedy Drop Dead Gorgeous and Bring It On, the cheer film that Roger Ebert described as the Citizen Kane of cheerleader movies. He may have been slightly snotty about it, but that film is a cornerstone moment for our understanding of cultural appropriation and pop culture. But I digress. In the late 90s, if Kirsten Dunst wanted to prove that she was more than family films and high school comedies, The Virgin Suicides was the way to do it. The film is set in 1970s Detroit during a time where the city was deteriorating. Its citizens were moving away in droves, leaving the city in a state of urban decay, and its black communities neglected to weather the decline. While this impact isn't necessarily addressed in Coppola's screenplay, it does introduce a major theme in her work: the idea of privilege. Dunst plays Lux Lisbon, one of the 5 sisters born into a repressed and religious household, where their mother is fraught with anxiety and a desire to protect her daughters from any and all harm. The film is framed through windows, telescopes, and the eyes of the young boys in the neighbourhood. They're fascinated by the ephemeral beauty of the girls, and we're likewise forced to view them as strange and magical creatures. Through hazy colours and dreamlike camera movements, Coppola conjures up a feeling of nostalgia, similar to Picnic at Hanging Rock. Both films share an eerie state of simultaneous wonder and horror, masked by the beauty of adolescence. In a rare moment of freedom, the sisters are taken to prom. Lux is courted into defying her parents, losing her virginity on the school football field and left there overnight by a boy who claimed to care about her. She returns home only to be beaten by her mother. As we look down on Lux, a fleck in an enormous field with the soft blue sky painted over her, she's vulnerable and her only possessions seem to be her mistakes. These feelings of girlhood are ones that words can't say. Or as YouTube channel Broey Deschanel puts it, Coppola's stories are composed of the kind of microscopic matter that exists in the smaller moments of a story and yet feel fundamental to the experience of being a girl. It's behind the camera that Coppola constructs this, but Dunst has an extraordinary talent for embodying the mysticism of girlhood. She'd grown up scrutinised by the film industry, captured through the eyes of others, and having few experiences that belonged privately to herself. When Coppola sets up questions around the male gaze and the commodification of young girls, she does so as someone who has experienced it. But there are limits to how far a director can take this. She needed Kirsten Dunst. In The Virgin Suicides, the 5 Lisbon sisters are searching for an escape, but Coppola knows what comes with that. 10 years Dunst senior, she metamorphosises her writing between the naive desire to break free and the knowing reality that independence really isn't so sweet. As the film ends, we're left in a Detroit that is wasting away. Debutantes hold parties where they forget the traumas that once occupied them. The guests wear asphyxiation sheet gas masks, and the boys once obsessed with the Lisbon sisters are left only with mementos and memories. They hold every lasting object of the girls, yet never figured out what made them so special. Anachronistic, effervescent and indulgent, 2006's Marie Antoinette saw Coppola defy expectations of the historical epic and take the infamous figure down a different route. Marie Antoinette is a film of dichotomies in excess. It's gaudiness shot through a delicately pretty lens, a surplus of personalities whirring as we're led to psychoanalyse just one, and a lavish affair that serves to only highlight an unbearable loneliness. In The Virgin Suicides, the girls are hidden away from the world, but here our Dauphine is driven into the royal court, forced to leave every home comfort and enter a foreign limelight. You can view it as a story about a bored socialite pressured by court, or an isolated and oppressed girl. She's the privileged royalty ignoring the cries of her people and escaping to the country until the protests are literally at her door. She's the woman married off, forced to take the blame when her preoccupied and awkward husband won't consummate the marriage. Together, Coppola and Dunst model Marie Antoinette in their image. She may be the Austrian princess imported into French society, but she's similarly a metaphor for the repression of Hollywood and girlhood. In the words of Roger Ebert, she has self-possession, poise and high spirits, and they are contained in a world that gives her no way to usefully express them. Likewise, this film represents Dunst and Coppola's own insider feelings on the celebrity, the pressures that this creates, and the conflicts of wanting to break free yet not lose the benefits that come with it. This becomes more pertinent in Kirsten's own story, in the years between Marie Antoinette and her next Coppola film, 2017's The Beguiled. In 2006, Dunst was wrapping up her time starring in the Spider-Man franchise, a collection of movies that took the sinking ship of the superhero genre and set it on a course of world domination. Each film in the Spider-Man trilogy was in the top 3 grossing movies of the year and subsequently required intense promotional tours, precise media training and a level of public scrutiny reserved for megastars. But Kirsten didn't want to play the Hollywood game, appease the industry, or partake in the cutthroat audition processes to maintain big roles. Likewise, she wasn't interested in adhering to the beauty standards set by the industry, refusing to fix her teeth for Spider-Man or lose weight for The Beguiled. She went from an actress starring in 4 films a year to taking on the occasional supporting role. Her stock fell, and she watched her contemporaries get the kind of critical acclaim and awards attention that requires more than just a good performance in film. It needs relentless scheduling and campaigning. During this time, Dunst was noticed once for her excellent skill on a prestigious level. She was the first American to win Best Actress at the Cannes Film Festival since Holly Hunter in 1994, making this her first major award ever and only big nomination since the Golden Globes with An Interview with a Vampire right at the start of her career. By the time it came to shooting The Beguiled, Dunst was feeling misunderstood and let down by the industry. and it's here that she rounds off her trilogy of women with so much to give but nowhere to go. The film is set towards the turning of the American Civil War in the southern slaveholding state of Virginia, where Nicole Kidman's Martha Farnsworth decides to take in a wounded Union soldier of the North. Dunst plays Edwina Morrow, an educated woman desperately seeking a way out of the Confederacy and inches away from achieving it. The soldier, Corporal McBurney, is the one man in a house full of overwrought, sexually repressed and torturously lonely women and girls. Everyone wants to impress him, nurse him back to health and be his lover. The camera is framed like another character in this claustrophobic, comedic vying of his love. Once McBurney is back on his feet, he begins a bid to save himself from being handed into the Southern Army, starting by proclaiming his love to Edwina and then becoming an iron-fisted dictator over the house. In the climax of The Women's Fear, Edwina races after McBurney to seduce him in a desperate battle for the chance of freedom. This is arguably the most tragic she's ever been. But why is she so desperate? She's educated, working as a teacher, white and wealthy enough. Yet Coppola has spent a career making films about rich, white, safe women and showing their vulnerabilities. It's been said that Sofia Coppola doesn't use film as a mirror to reflect society, she uses it to reflect herself and her own challenges as a person of privilege. Likewise, Dunst's art reflects something potent about society and the way that Hollywood rejects genuine talent that doesn't work with their one-size-fits-all mould. When we break it down, it may be hard to feel sympathy for Dunst, whose parameters for success are defined by money, prestigious awards attention and large film roles. Especially when considering this is a narrow view of success and that people of colour approaching the industry are less likely to achieve it due to institutional racism. The same goes for visibly queer or disabled folks. But the whole point of Dunst's work with Coppola is to transport us into the world of an insider who's never felt so misunderstood. If film is a window into another world, or a machine for creating empathy, together these artists have used their own experience and creativity to expose us to something singularly special. There's something to learn from each Lux, Marie and Edwina. After all, isn't everybody searching for transcendence?